With every ongoing gacha game, the most important thing is the upcoming characters. With that being said, there are many moral questions that come into play when discussing those new characters. How frequent the new characters are introduced, how often these same characters are rerun, how long these characters will be useful for, and lastly, and arguably the most importantly, how sexy they are. The power creep. As more and more characters come out, it is thought that power creep is inevitable. But Wuthering Waves is proving that you can continue to make amazing characters and keep their power in budget. My name is Void Enigma, and I'll be discussing why Wuthering Waves' new character consistency and character balancing is superior when compared to other gacha games in the same genre. Be sure to subscribe and like the video as always, and let's hop right into the void. When a new character gets introduced in any gacha game, they are given a power budget. Most games will keep that same power budget, but only for a certain amount of time. A game that just wants your money will simply keep on releasing more and more powerful characters and force you to get those new characters. For instance, as much as I love One Piece Treasure Cruise is a game where the most powerful character this month is completely useless next month because of power creep. And don't quote me on this, but I think also Dragon Ball Dokkan is kind of the same. Now the reason for this is simple. Once you have an established roster, the only way for players to pull for new characters is if they're stronger and better. The only way for the gameplay to be more engaging is of course if you use Gear 3rd and inflate the HP values to an insane degree to keep up with the power creep. That's the only way, right? Now, earlier I said that power creep was inevitable, but it's been 1 year with Wuthering Waves, and a character like Jiyan, who was the first event character released in the game, is just as powerful as he was day one as he is now. Additionally, Jinhsi's place in the meta as the strongest has not been overturned by a similar character, but instead, we have characters like Carlotta, who was only considered a better version because of the mechanics of her kit, not the actual power of her blows. I want you to imagine at the beginning of the gear that there is a tier 0 character that is an amazing ice goddess who reminds you of Phoebe. She is hailed as the absolute strongest, and in a matter of 2 to 3 updates, that same character is pathetically weak and unusable. This is the reality of a character in Honkai Star Rail. The aggressive power creep in Honkai Star Rail should be studied because it is insane how fast some of these characters fell off. Even the infamous Genshin Impact, while power creep definitely exists, it isn't as outrageous. One thing that I can say about Genshin Impact is, you can't power creep the carry, you can only power creep the support. Actually, never mind, Mavuika exists. Isn't she and Sit Lolly like the undeniable best duo in the game now? Now, let's return to the land of Solaris 3 and let's glance at Pridwin's tier list because it's actually pretty accurate. Consistently from version 2.0, we have had mid-character after mid-character after mid-character. Rochia, Phoebe, Brant, Cantarella, they're all mid. But that's actually an amazing thing because mid is considered suitable. They don't have to have crazy insane power. They don't have to have crazy insane gimmicks. They are properly balanced for the current state of the game. Now, I talked about a character's power budget in the beginning, and then I went off on a little tangent, so let's return to that. Rather than increasing the power budget per character, Wuthering Waves and Kuro Games does something phenomenal. They give each character the same power budget. Instead of making the new premium character have 110% power than the rest of the cast, they actually just simply cap them at a max of 100%. This means that each new character, no matter how loved they are by the cast and by the players, they will always have the same balance of power. Hence, why I call the other characters mid, because if everyone is around the same power, then that makes the mid the norm. That doesn't come without a myriad of problems though, and that's the fact that Wuthering Waves is releasing way too many characters and they're all high quality. Let's take for example a game like Limbus Company, where power creep is definitely present. Even though there are still some Season 1 IDs who have insane power, Warp Dawn for instance, the newer characters are just much more enjoyable to use and they have much better payoffs, and sometimes they do fall flat, but nonetheless, the new characters are much more desired. With that being said, Limbus Company has a shard system, so while you can't pull for every character, you can at least grind for every character that you want in the game, so getting every new character isn't quite as difficult. But Wuthering Waves, starting from version 1.0, has released on average 1.6 new characters per update. Most of the time we get 2, and every now and then we get 1. Each of these new characters are unique, different, and they're all quite loved. This is actually an insane rate to release new characters, and it's a mystery how the hell Kuro does it and keeps their balance in check. The luxury of this rapid release of characters is, of course, that the game is new, and Kuro Games is actually still establishing its roster. They can't power creep the characters, but instead, they can power creep the teams. For instance, sure, Carlotta may be superior to Jinhsi thanks to her time stop and a few other mechanics and the fact that she has access to Judgy who buffs her into insane heights, but it goes without saying that Jinhsi will still hit harder in that one burst of damage, especially if she gets a spectro-coordinated attacker who also buffs resident skill damage. That would turn Jinhsi into the ultimate weapon of damage, while Carlotta would actually have a better time when you're faced against a difficult boss by utilizing her time freeze. Because of that fact, Kuro Games has implemented a special way of really working things out. Team building power creep. As of right now, Jiyan is great, right? He's still great, always has been great, but his whole entire team would get an insane buff if there's a character that comes out that buffs heavy attack and arrow damage and also gives some energy to Jiyan and other perks maybe. That would instantly make Jiyan's team significantly stronger. The same can be said for every character in the cast. As of right now, at this moment, we have Arrow Rover, whom hasn't even been given a team yet, and we have Phoebe, who still has a complete lacking team with Spectro Frazzle. I wonder if the 2 new drips have fixed that issue. There used to be a time where I would love the fact that I didn't need every single character as the patches rolled about. Like, take for instance, Fontaine in Genshin Impact. We had Risley, Nuvalette, Farina, Cloran, Navia, Linny, and of course Arlecchino. And of those characters, I wanted Risley, Farina, Cloran, and of course, I really lusted for Arlecchino. Now, I didn't actually end up getting Risley, but I did manage to get the other ones. But now with Renacida and Wuthering Waves, of all the characters that are released, Carlotta, Rochia, Phoebe, Brant, Cantarella, Zani, Chacona, like, I literally want every single one of them. I had to force myself to skip Cantarella just because I had to get Zani and Chacona next patch. And probably Phoebe in the future just because of how squishy her face is, even though I didn't get her the first time. If each new character has the same power budget, will that make pulling the new characters unneeded? Well, I think Wuthering Waves has proven that it doesn't need power creep to make the players continue to pull on banners. If they are consistently adding new characters every update with no stop, and every new character is just as good as the last, eventually, you as the player will come to a time when your taste align with Kuro Games for a good 2 months, and you'll have to fork over at least the Lunar Pass to get all the characters that you want, along with their weapons. You have to understand that they do need to make money somehow, and by catering to the dolphins and whales with perfectly designed kits and new characters, that's the winning way to do it, not power creeping your game to all hell. I had the power to hold myself back and not pull Cantarella. I totally didn't pull 40 times the host of getting an early pity. Why would I do that? I don't even need Cantarella. Maybe I'll do one more. Control yourself, Void. Zani is right around the corner. A full year in, and we're still dodging the power creep bullet. Let's hope that it keeps up. Hit that sub button and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. We're nearing 10K subscribers, so subscribe so that we can hit that milestone. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Void Enigma, and until next time, Enigma out.